This is Ready for High School Math, lesson 2.1b. So we're continuing our discussion on solving one-step equations. Okay, so a little bit of a recap so far is we've talked about an equation. An equation is a mathematical sentence that includes an equal sign. Okay, so an equation brings two expressions together. Okay, so an expression was something like 3x plus 2, or maybe 6. And then an equation just takes these two expressions and combines them with an equal sign. Okay, so then we talked about a solution to an equation will be any value that can make the equation true. It's going to make it render a true statement. Okay, and so in order for us to get that solution, we need to isolate the variable. We need to, whatever the variable is, in this case would be x, we need to isolate it by making the coefficient, the number that is paired with the x, that number paired with the x needs to be a positive 1. So in order for us to do that, we're going to use inverse operations to make that true. Okay, an inverse operation is going to be whatever is being done to the x, or whatever we need to do to get the x alone, we'll do the inverse. We'll do the reverse of that operation in order to help us isolate the variable, simplify the solution, and then check our answer for validity. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples. So we have a plus 15 equals 47. So we are trying to get the a alone. So in order for us to do that, right now 15 is being added to a. So the reverse of adding 15 will be subtracting 15. So we're going to subtract 15 from the left-hand side to get the a alone, because these will cancel out. And then on the right-hand side, anything that we do to the left-hand side, we need to also do the right-hand side. We do this so we don't actually change the value of something. So we get 47 minus 15, and that would give me 32. And now we want to go through and we want to check and make sure 32 works. So we're going to take our original equation, a plus 15 equals 47, and we are going to plug this thing back in. So we have 32, we'll plug that in, put in parentheses, plus 15 equals 47, okay? In the last video, I just did this left-hand side, but I want to go ahead and do the whole side so we can kind of see that connection. So we're going to put this little bit into the calculator just to verify ourselves. So we'll get 32 in parentheses plus 15. Remember, anytime we plug a value in, we always put in parentheses. And we get 47. So this will be 47. And the right-hand side is still 47. We haven't done anything to it. So when it talks about up here, a solution makes an equation true, basically means does it render us a true statement. So once I plug in the value a equals 32, we get the statement 47 equals 47. Now 47 equals 47, that is a true statement. So since this solution gives us a true statement, it's a good solution for us. A does equal 32. Now let's keep going. Number 2, r plus 27 equals negative 52. So again, we're isolating the variable. We're getting that variable alone. The variable is r. So in order to get r alone, we need to look at what's on the same side of r, and we need to undo that. So we have r plus 27 equals negative 52. So to get this plus 27 away, they added 27, just like over here, they added 15. We're going to do the opposite of adding 27, and we're going to subtract 27. Anything we do to one side, we need to do the other so that we don't change the value of anything. So now, 27's on the left will cancel out. We're left with r. And now in our calculator, we'll get negative 52 minus 27. And we get negative 79. Negative 79. Okay? And so once again, you'll want to go back through and you'll want to check your answer. Okay? So when we plug it back in, we get negative 79 in parentheses plus 27 equals negative 52. Okay, so we'll check that left-hand side in the calculator. So parentheses, negative 79, close parentheses, plus 27, we get 52. And this 52 didn't change, so we're going to drop it down with us. So we get negative 52 equals negative 52. That is a true statement. And because that is a true statement, we know that this r value will work. Okay, now just for time's sake, I'm not going to go through, I'm not going to check every single one. The ones that are a little bit harder, I will go through and check. Number 3, a minus 19 equals 45. So this time, instead of adding a number to our variable, they subtracted a number. So a minus 19 equals 45. We want to get a by itself. So instead of subtracting 19, we need to do the opposite of that, and we need to add 19. So we will add 19 to both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, it'll cancel out. Minus 19 plus 19 will cancel out. We're left with just a. And we have 45 plus 19 will give me 64. All right, so next up we have y minus negative 12. Okay, so y is the variable that we are trying to get rid of. All right, so let's look at this. So we have y minus negative 12 equals negative 82. Now remember we talked about in the past, anytime we see this minus negative, we can do a little trick with it, because anytime we are subtracting a negative, that is the same thing as adding a positive. So anytime we are subtracting a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. So instead, we could just rewrite this as y plus 12 equals negative 82. Okay, this whole double negative thing, that will work in most cases. The one example is absolute value. Okay, so if we have a negative outside of an absolute value and then a negative inside of absolute value is one of those special cases where we wouldn't want to cross over. So y plus 12 equals negative 82. Adding 12, to undo that, we need to do the opposite of adding 12 and subtract 12. Okay, anything we do to one side, we do to the other, so we're subtracting 12 from both sides. We'll wind up with y is equal to negative 82 minus 12 will give me negative 94. Okay, so look at this one. 23 equals q minus 12. Okay, so the variable now being on this side does not change anything for us. Okay, it doesn't change anything for us. We're going to still work out the same way. So we need to get q alone. Right now we have q minus 12, so we need to undo the minus 12 by adding 12. Anything we do to one side of the equal sign, we do to the other side of the equal sign. So on this side, 23 plus 12 will give me 35 equals, we have q, drop that down, and then the 12s over here will cancel out. So we just have 35 equals q. All right, so we flipped over on the back, so now we're on number 6. So once again, we're just going through, we're going to solve the equations and then check our solutions as well. So we have 8c equals negative 816. Okay, so this time, anytime we see a number paired up with a variable like this, it's right next to it, and there's no visible sign, so there's not a plus sign in between these two, or a minus sign, multiplication sign, or division sign. We just have a number struck together with a letter, with a variable. This is understood to be multiplication. Okay, so we can just rewrite it so we know clearly what's going on here. This is not 8 plus c or anything like that. This is 8 times c. 8 times c. So we have 8 times c. This is multiplication. To undo multiplication, we're going to divide. And anything we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So 8 divided by 8, anything divided by itself will give me 1. And so I'm left with just c. And then 816 divided by 8, that will leave me with 102. So 102, that will be our answer. Okay, number 7, negative 12w equals 60. All right, so in order to do this, again, this is negative 12 times w equals 60. Okay, so to undo multiplication, we need to divide. So we'll divide both sides by negative 12. When we do that, negative 12 divided by negative 12, that'll cancel out, give me 1. We're left with w. 60 divided by negative 12 will give me negative 5. Okay, next up, number 8. Y divided by 3 equals 14. Y divided by 3 equals 14. So this time, this is a new one for us. We haven't seen this case yet. This time, our variable that we're trying to isolate, y, is being divided by a number. Okay, so this is a new case for us, so let's work it out. So if we're dividing by 3, To undo that, to do the inverse operation of dividing by 3, we need to do the opposite of dividing, which is multiply. So we're going to multiply by 3, okay? So when we do that, we're going to bring the 3 out here in front, and this will be 3 times y over 3. And anything we do to one side, we do to the other. So we'll have 14 times 3 on the other side. So whenever we do this, this will be 3 times y over 3. The 3's, once again, will cancel out, okay? Because basically another way we could write this is 3y over 3. When we multiply in that 3, that we could rewrite it like this. 3y over 3 is equal to, this would be 42. So again, this would just us be canceling it out, and we'd get y is equal to 42. Okay, so whether it's out here, whether it's on top like that, either way, they'll both cancel out. All right, next up, k divided by -7 equals 5. So just like over here, trying to get our variable alone, it's being divided by a number. So we're going to multiply by that same number. K divided by -7, we're going to multiply this by -7. Anything we do to one side, we do to the other side. So the -7's will cancel out. We're left with 1k, and then 5 times -7 will give me -35 for my answer. All right, next up, we have 2/3 x equals 12. Okay, so even with it being a fraction, we can still work this thing out the exact same way. Okay, so just like up here, anytime we have a number right next to a variable paired up with it like this, with no visible sign in between them, it was understood to be multiplication. So down here with this example, 2/3 x equals 12. Well, there's no visible sign between them, so we know we can have this understood to be multiplication. 2/3 times x equals 12. So in order to undo multiplication, we need to divide by the same number that we're multiplying by. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So 2/3 x divided by 2/3, cancel out and give me x. Anything we do to one side, we need to do the other side as well. So this would be 12 divided by 2/3. Any time that we divide by a fraction, you put that fraction in parentheses. Okay, so when we type it in, we get 12 divided by, open parentheses, 2 divided by 3, close parentheses. And we get 18 for our answer. All right, and then last one, we got 3/4 equals -7/9x. Okay, so the variable we're trying to isolate is that x. And once again, anytime we have a number right next to a variable with no sign in between them, the understood sign is multiplication. So this is 3/4 equals -7/9 times x. So to undo this, we want to divide by the thing that is being multiplied to x. So we're going to divide both sides by -7/9. Okay? On the right-hand side, the -7/9 will cancel out, and we'll be left with just x. And now on this side, so this time we have a fraction divided by a fraction. So just to be safe, we're going to put both of them in parentheses. Fraction divided by a fraction, you're going to put both of them inside parentheses. So this will be open parentheses, 3 divided by 4, close parentheses, then divided by, open parentheses, -7 divided by 9. And then we'll hit enter. Now, we get some kind of crazy looking answer like that. Okay, so at first you might be thinking, what in the world is this answer? So if it looks like that, try doing math, enter, enter. And when we do math and enter, we get a much better looking answer. Much easier for us to write, and that is -27/28.